Good morning and welcome back to Miniature Monday here on Gaming with ADHD, where today we're going to be taking a look at some more of the miniatures from Mantic's Firefight starter set. Now, the starter set comes with the Marauders, a sort of space orc-like race, and the enforcers of the global or galactic co-prosperity sphere. Now, I've already done another video where we looked at the miniatures for the Marauders. I'll have that link down in the description so you can check that out as well. But today we're going to focus on the Enforcers, the jet bikes, the Pathfinder, or not Pathfinders, the Peacekeepers, the Enforcer Operatives, and the Assault Enforcers. Now, you do get about 20 of the miniatures, and, you know, we're going to take a look at them, and I'll let you know what I think of them now that I've actually gotten them assembled. But before we do that, do make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I try to put out a few videos each week covering all sorts of tabletop gaming content, whether it's miniatures, board games, role-playing, or anything in between, and I'd love for you to come along and see what we have to share. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. All right, now first up, we're just going to look at some Enforcer Operatives. Now, in the kit, you're going to be able to build 10 of these. You get the starter set says that you should have one with a burst laser and then a leader with an energy gauntlet. So we've got the burst laser coming up here. That's actually one of the ones I like the most. The way that it's holding the burst laser. He's got some, well, so there's 5 different body types. I'm not sure if I've got all of them on here, but close enough. There's 5 different body types. There are legs to match for each one. I will admit they are better than I've seen in the past from Mantic, but they were a little difficult to get matched up right. It would have been nice to either get a key or something just a little bit more defined as far as how the legs are supposed to sit. It's not quite a butt joint where it's just 2 flat pieces next to each other, and it's not quite a ball and socket joint either, so you don't have the flexibility of the ball and socket, and you don't have the more defined of a butt joint. So it made it a little difficult. Now, one thing that I have been doing with these miniatures over miniatures that I've used in the past is I have been using modeling cement instead of super glue. Now, there's a couple of advantages there. Number one, it does take a little bit longer to set up, but it also will start to hold very quickly. But it does give you a little time to basically mess with the model, get it into a position that you're happy with, and then let it cure up. Because essentially what it does is it melts the plastic and then fuses it together. So it essentially, like, basically these are now single piece models. Overall, I like how they look. My biggest complaint, like, again, there was some frustration with putting the bodies together, but overall it wasn't a problem. My biggest complaint would have to be the necks. They are on a ball joint, which is nice because then you can rotate the heads around, however you prefer. But the hemisphere that they've got for the ball joint, you can see it on the video as they go around. It looks sort of like a collar towards the bottom of the neck. And sometimes you would want it to sit more into, kind of the shoulder blade area. And sometimes it's brought up more, and so then you can see the ball joint. And because otherwise, if you put it straight in, everybody would be looking at the ground. And I don't like that. So maybe I don't know what to recommend. I'm not a sculptor. I don't deal with making the molds. It was a little frustrating, but I think it'll hide pretty well under the paint. I'm not too worried about it. It is just one of those that, to me, it was very noticeable and a little frustrating to work with. But overall, I like the way that the miniatures came out. They'll paint up just fine, and you know, I've got plenty of these to work on. So this is the Enforcers Operatives. Give me a minute, and we will take a look at the Assault Enforcers. Now, here are the Assault Enforcers. Now, these use the exact same body, legs, and head as the Enforcer Operatives. The difference is you're going to load them out with pistols and melee weapons. In this case, you can see the wrist blades. And for the starter set, they recommend putting them with an incinerator or a flamethrower weapon as well. Overall, these worked out okay. I mean, obviously, there's the same issues that you would see with the Enforcer Operatives as far as putting the bodies together. Some of the other issues I had was the positions of the weapons. So, like, as you can see, the guy rotating away just now, where he's got the pistol and the wrist blade, and they're both, kind of tucked back. So I did my best to try and match, weapons and legs, because typically when you're walking, the opposite arm will be in front while the opposite leg is in front. So when you step off with your right foot, typically your left hand is going to be swinging forward. So, I tried to incorporate that into the movement, but sometimes it didn't work out as well. Overall, I think they come out looking okay. I think the paint is where it's really going to be more important. But that was a little frustrating. Obviously, the only way to fix or get around that is to do new plastics, which unfortunately they are not going to be doing anytime soon, just because they have plenty of other models that they have to get produced, and these are just fine. Mantic, they are affordable, so I would, for what you're getting out of these, I think it's still absolutely worth it. Again, I like the shapes, I like the styles. The Enforcers do look good to me. Even if I do have some qualms about how they are put together. But these are the Assault Enforcers. You are going to build 2 squads of 5 of each of these. So that'll give you 20 total Enforcer Operatives and Assault Enforcers. Now, I did say you get about 20 models, but including the jet bikes and the Pathfinders, you'll end up with about 27. So, all right, that is the Assault Enforcers. Let's take a look at some Peacekeepers. All right, now the Peacekeepers are probably where I'm most mixed. First off, there are some fantastic models. Coming around in the front right now, we have the Peacekeeper Captain. That one you can tell because he's got the face mask on his Peacekeeper suit open. Little bit more dynamic as far as squatting down. Now, you don't have to make the Peacekeeper Captain, squatting in that pose, but I've got some of the older Peacekeeper Captains, and I wanted something that looked a little bit different than how those others are posed. So I figured, put him in the crouching position. I liked how that came out. Now, you can make 5 different Peacekeepers. There are bodies matching the legs, very, very similar to how the regular Enforcer bodies and legs work together. It is clearly marked on the frame, so you won't mix it up if you pay attention. But otherwise, like this Enforcer that we have in front right now is just to me, it's a perfect Enforcer. Just big, beefy, he looks like he's going to hurt you. The one coming up right now, this is one problem that I do have, is the Enforcers can end up being a little staticky, just because of the positioning on the arms. Maybe I should have put that arm down to the, he just has the rifle, held down to the side. I don't know. Again, you can do different things with them. The arms are on a ball joint, so they do rotate a little bit, so that you can fit it in. But overall, I mean, the Enforcers still look great. The plastics are a very good kit. Even they're not a perfect kit. You know, I'm not upset over them, but I do wish a little bit of the posing was better. But again, I am honestly nitpicking here. You know, the kit assembled well. It assembled relatively quickly, and you know, you're gonna get, you know, nice figures out of these. So honestly, my complaints are they're not unreasonable in my opinion, but I I don't know. I wish I was a little bit more excited so I could be like, oh, these are amazing, these are the greatest. But the best thing I could say is they're very playable. They're you know, they're gonna look fine painted up on the table. And honestly, part of the posing issues is probably just my skill as a modeler. You know, sometimes I move a little bit quickly, so you know, somebody else might do a little better than me, but overall, I think I'm just complaining to complain at this point. Overall, I had a lot of fun putting these together, and they're gonna look good on the table, and I just need to keep working at it. All right, so we got one more to look at, and that's the Enforcer jet bike, and it'll be right up. All right, now last up, we've got the Enforcers on jet bikes. You do get 2 of these. They do come with clear plastic flight stands, so keep that in mind. Don't glue them on before you paint them unless you don't mind. I'm going to, you know, paint them without them being on the base, just, you know, so that I can keep it, at least the flight stand clear. But overall, these actually assembled pretty easily. They do give you instructions in the instruction book that, you know, very easy to follow. I have built these in the past where you did not get the instructions. So one thing I absolutely recommend is do some dry fitting. With your models, honestly, always do some dry fitting. But overall, like, these are not hard to put together. I think they come out looking fantastically. They're a fun unit that you don't see in a lot of sci-fi games. You know, just like that hover speeder bike. That's what I'm thinking of, like in Star Wars. So it very much kind of captures that feel of like the Star Wars speeder bike, but with a little bit more high tech, a little bit more, you know, Firefight, Deadzone, Mantic flair. You know, again, it's got kind of the issue with the head and shoulders that I mentioned on the Enforcer operatives, but other than that, it's fine. Again, using modeling cement as opposed to super glue was a huge advantage here. Tip from, at least I think it's a tip, when you are assembling the rider on the bike, what I ended up doing is, so the arms have, like, they're holding on to the control yoke, but there's no actual piece on the bike itself, so they just glue in on the side. So what I did is I put a little bit of glue on the handle, put the hands into the bike, let that sit up a little bit, and then I put the body on and glued the shoulders in. So basically that way you get the arms in the right place, you make sure that everything's kind of settled, and then you finish it off by putting the body in when you've got a little bit of play in the model still. But otherwise, I absolutely love the look of these guys, and I am going to have a lot of fun painting it up. So that is the Enforcer jet bike. All right, now, overall, I'm going to have to say that I don't think the Enforcers came out as well as the Marauders. Now, the Marauders are a simpler kit. You have many flat butt joints. The torso and the legs are a single piece, so there's no you know, there's no trying to figure that out. It just, there's the body. So the Enforcers are a bit dynamic, but I think long term, I think the Marauders end up looking a little bit better. There are still some of the issues I had, there are none of the issues, I guess I should say, with the Parth opposing in the Enforcers that you see with the Marauders. But overall, again, as I said earlier, I'm being kind of nitpicky. I had a lot of fun putting all of these together. I'm excited to get my Firefight stuff done so that I can actually get some games in. Matt, if you're out there, you know who you are. We absolutely need to play. But otherwise, overall, if you want a very inexpensive game with good models, I absolutely recommend Firefight. You're looking at about $120 to $130 US to pick up the starter set. You're getting about 75 models, the books, all your tokens, etc. Only thing you need is a table and some terrain at that point. But otherwise, absolutely love it. Still highly recommend, even with all of my complaints. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. I will have links down below to our social media on Facebook, Twitter, where you can follow us. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.